this guy leaves his Lamborghini at the dealership, just walks out, and doesn't, continue to pay for the bill. So this guy called me and told me that he needs to repair his credit because his current shop where he's at, his landlord is selling the entire building. This guy rents from a landlord and has his shop and has the fleet of his Mercedes and Sprinters and stuff like that. He has a limousine company, and he takes people to the airport and all types of stuff, VIP people. But his landlord is looking to sell that business and sell the whole building. And in order for him to keep his business, because that place is a really nice location. It's on the corner of San Fernando, and it's a busy street, and I think it's in Atherton and what is it? Not Cupertino, but I forgot the place. It's a really, really prestigious place, and he needs to keep his business. If the landlord sells his the building, he won't be able to continue doing his business. He'll have to move somewhere else. It's going to cost him a lot of money. So the only way for him to rectify the situation is to get a commercial real estate loan to buy that entire building. And this guy's credit is messed up because he returned the Ferrari and it ended up as a repo on his credit report. And so this guy calls me from a sign a year and a half ago later to repair his credit. Now this is an important story because obviously this guy makes good money, $2 million, but he still doesn't make enough to get the commercial building for his business. And that building is in, I think maybe like $6 million. Even so, if you take all this guy's worth, his cars and everything and his income, still doesn't equate to $6 million, not even maybe $2 million. And this guy is doing pretty well, but this little problem with the Lamborghini changed everything in his life. And so he hired me to repair his credit, and kind of crazy. So I work in his credit and we repair it. And to make a long story short, the landlord then decides not to sell the place. So he doesn't have to buy the building. But it was still a scare for him. It was still a scare for him. He could have lost everything just like that, just because a stupid Lamborghini on his credit report and a repossession, and he didn't build credit. But during the time of that conversation, we start talking about my business, and he's like, "Whoa, how did you get in this business?" Like, "Wow, how's it going?" It's going pretty well. And then I begin to tell him the importance of credit. He already knows that this scare was a big problem. Then I decide to help him build his credit, and it becomes pretty good. But the thing is that this guy, he had the mindset that he didn't need credit, and it almost was his downfall. There's a saying in the Bible, pride does come before the fall. Well, it all came down to a point. What's important to him, his business or the Lamborghini? And he let the Lamborghini go, but that messed up his credit because he didn't fulfill the loan, and he didn't even build his credit at that point, because the whole time he was just doing business with cash and living life on cash, not credit. And until it came to the point where he needed to started leveraging his credit to get real estate, and it he wasn't able to do that. So if you're in that situation where you didn't build your credit, that's just one of the things that could happen to you. So a lot of the successful wealthy people are leveraging assets, leveraging real estate, leveraging their credit. They're not necessarily buying Lamborghinis in the beginning, but they're investing in their business. They're buying assets like real estate, buying, flipping, and leveraging credit from the bank to increase their wealth. That's how you have to do it. If you're not leveraging credit from the bank to increase the amount of assets that you own, then you're an asset to the bank because they're making money off you, but you're not making money off them. Okay? So cash is suffering due to inflation and taxation. Inflation and taxation. The more money you make, the more tax you're going to get, and that's going to take away your opportunities to accumulate your wealth. And so, if you take, for example, the inflation, we're at 20%. There's different levels of inflation, true inflation, this, you know what I mean? It depends upon the volatility of different markets. You know, if you look at the price of steak, it's more expensive than it was 2 years ago, and then oil. So these are the things that we all need, right? Food and oil. That's another topic. But if you look at the amount of tax that you're making, and if you're making above 100K a year or 100K, you're going to be taxed 40%. So your money's chopped off. So if you make 100K a year in income, you really don't. You're only making 50K. It's what you take home after. If you own a business, similar situation, you get different tax benefits and stuff like that for a business. But you know, your gross revenue is not your net revenue. And it's just like your gross income is not your net income. And so you really got to go by your net, all right? If you're doing 100K, then chop it down to like 60K, 50K. So you would really, in order to make 200K, you have to do 500K. And if, in order for you to make 2 million income, you have to do like maybe 5 million, 5.5, 6 million, right? And when you're in that spot of making that much money, you need personal credit. You need to leverage assets and have them appreciate in value. Like real estate is a great way. Real estate is really safe. Everything is kind of dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But, you know, this guy learned the benefit of buying the place because for him in that situation, he had to buy it to prevent it from going away to someone else. And the new owner would have came and they would have took everything down and remodeled and built an underground. They were doing underground parking on the corner. It made sense. They made a ton of money. I think they would sell the space back to the county and make a ton of money. But the owner decided not to because I guess it was a scam or something. I don't know. I don't know the details, but make a long story short, the owner decided to not do it. And so he's lucky. He's lucky. I didn't learn this till later, but he came in my office but you know, thankfully at that moment we prepared him for that. But then he began to open his mind because he was talking to the owner of how he was going to buy the place and flip it. It kind of gave him a new idea for business. And so we began to prepare him to start leveraging his credit for bigger and better things. And leveraging credit to buy more fleet, right? To get to, you know, if he has a limousine company, so think of all the rewards points and cash back he can get from using credit cards to pay for all that stuff, right? The maintenance of, and he could write it off, right? So that was a benefit for him along with other benefits. But don't think for a second that credit is just for, you know, credit is not a utility that we all need. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, obviously, if you're broke and don't have any money, credit is useless to you. But when you begin to start making money, significant as much as 100K or even around 60K, 30K, you need to build your credit up. There's people that don't have a lot of income, like my friend. He makes maybe like more than 100,000 a year, more than that. I know people that don't even make maybe 30K income, people that are retired, but their credit is really high and they can still get real estate because their credit is good, right? Ideally, you would want to have a high income and your credit is 850, then you could have more leverage. Some people have a really low income of 30K a year, but their credit is like 850, but they could still get $1 million or, you know, loan depending upon their savings and down payment and stuff like that. So the moral of the story is basically to give light on the importance of credit no matter where you are. And when you fix it today, like right now, and prepare for the future, you're eliminating a lot of the chances for disaster later on. And that is the biggest takeaway here. So you should focus on building your credit. Don't neglect it. It's kind of like health. You could be overweight, you could be not fit, but then as age comes, there might be a situation that you're in, and then you get in trouble later on. Just like financial. If you're not saving and investing for the future, disaster could happen. Look at COVID-19. That's just to show us how unpredictable life can be. You know, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So let's be responsible. Let's all work on our credit and our finances together and prevent the things that could happen. Okay? Don't be prideful and think that this can't happen to you and this can't happen to you. Don't. You know what I mean? That's taking life for granted. Don't take life for granted. Take advantage of the time and the credit that you have and the power that you have today to make a better future. And don't let yourself get in a predicament like my friend.